All right, we are live with the Strength Club weekly Q&A. I'm Mick Solomons. I'm the developer of the Starting Strength app and Strength Club, and with me I have got Starting Strength coach Alex Kosari. G'day, Alex.
Hey, everybody. How's it going?
Going good. Rusty is running late again, so Rip must be cracking the whip down there at Wichita Falls.
I'm sure, they had their big meet today, so maybe he fell asleep.
Rusty did mention that. Yeah. So anyway, he may be a little late, so we're going to get cracking anyway. Oh, Rusty said he's here. Let me just see if I can add him to the thing.
All right. Well, while Mick is trying to figure out how technology works, so we're going to be going through form check videos. There's going to be a good bit of back and forth as to why the errors are happening. So if you think that you're having an error similar to what you're seeing on screen, if you're like, hey, that looks like me, probably pay some attention. Let's see.
So we've got a question. Let's do a question while waiting for my technical wizardry to work. And so we've got the Devil Guy 04. Nice. He's asking, how much weight is normally gained after lifting? I've done 21 sessions so far, and my start weights were low, and he's now at 285 deadlifts and 205 squats. My weight went up, and I'm happy is some of the gain muscle. I started at 268, now in the 272 to 275 range, depending on the day. I'm 6'1", 35-year-old male.
Those last two figures were his body weight, so he's gained, what, around like 17, 18 pounds, you said?
That's like 268 to 268, and he's now 272 to 275.
Oh, I think to 258. Okay.
Yeah, 268. Yeah.
I mean, at that size, you're a relatively large guy. I would imagine that your waist tape is probably somewhere with 43, 44 inches. Because if you're 6'1" and around there, so the effects of muscle growth, hypertrophy, are going to happen relatively immediately. There's going to be a definitive skill learning and kind of neuromuscular efficiency process that happens during the novice LP, but you are very sensitive to training, so you're going to be gaining muscle almost immediately. If you were to stay at that weight, you'll likely notice your waist measurement dropping down, given enough time, kind of better or smarter selected eating choices, so focusing on protein-seeking behaviors rather than trying to find carbs and fats. That's definitely fairly fluffy, so I don't know if weight gain would probably be the best option that you have, seeing that you are still actually gaining weight. So if I were you, I'd probably just go to eat at maintenance, and then you will be gaining muscle no matter what. I would definitely say if you're already, if you've been lifting for a while and then you decided to revisit the LP, it could be a different situation, but if you're a ranked novice, you're definitely going to be seeing, kind of global muscle growth, and hopefully, more global fat loss depending on where you're eating. But yeah, make sure you're doing your work. Probably get some conditioning in outside of your just 3 days of the LP if you can.
At 285 though, how much of a novice really is he? I mean, he's deadlifting 285. He's still probably a novice at those 285 deadlift.
Yeah, you'll meet giant people who don't really feel setting their back until 225 on day one. So. Yeah, I mean, like if you have like a 150-pound guy and he's pulling 135, that's a relatively similar body weight, and you'd be like, or a relatively similar ratio, and you'd be like, that's just about fair for a starting day, But I've had giant people come in, who can pull 225 plus, and they're like, I can't really tell. The limiting factor is almost always the grip on those people, because they'll just be like giants, they'll be 2 feet taller than me, and they'll be like, is this supposed to be heavy? But you'll see it.
Have you ever dealt with people with really short thumbs? I've got a mate who it was always his limiting factor. It seemed like he had these really tiny thumbs.
Yeah, I mean, I deadlifted without my thumbs for quite some time. I didn't take them off or anything, but it would be better. Because I used to, back whenever I was rock climbing very consistently, it was easier for me to hold the bar very deep in my fingers without my thumbs more than actually clasping around it totally. I could pull an extra 70, 80 pounds with my fingers rather than it was the closed fist. So kind of like a support grip with an open hand versus a crush grip, they're a little bit different. But I don't know. You don't really need your thumbs too much. If you're power cleaning, good luck. Sorry. Maybe just pick a different lift to do.
Yeah, it wouldn't be
like hook gripping with a short thumb. Exactly, yeah. Hook gripping with a short thumb is hard. Paul Horn has a good video on how to power clean or how to get a hook grip with short thumbs. It's hard, but possible. Yeah.
So I'm still trying to get Rusty in. Apparently, he's saying Skype's deleted all of his contacts. And he
RIP.
can't get in, so I asked him to get him to join or add me again, but hang on, here we go. I think he's I think we've got Rusty now. Oh, hey man, so it looks like I've just hang on one second. Oh, I think I've managed to get rid of Alex out of all that. Let me just try and add Alex back in again.
My AirPods logged on here.
You're sounding good. All right, I think we've got everyone in now.
Can you hear me?
Hey, we're going.
Let me just add everyone in.
Yeah.
Okay, we're all in now. Here we go.
Mm-hmm.
How's it going, man?
Going all right. I'm trying to figure out why my AirPods aren't working.
Oh, they're not working?
Your video quality.
It's not with the audio going on with y'all.
Oh, interesting.
Just go to Skype settings and this has got good quality viewing for the folks at home.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Now?
Yeah. Oh, well, let's just start with the form checks, and we'll Rusty, you can get your things sorted as you. I think just go to Skype and audio and video settings, and you should be able to change the settings there. But we'll start with Adam Bull Squat.
Okay.
Oh yeah, remember this guy? He had the
a dodgeball guy. Yeah.
Dodgeball guy. Yeah. Did we see you squat last week?
I think it was 2 weeks ago. If I remember correctly, he was just dramatically high. Couldn't figure out where depth is. This is a lot better.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I remember this guy was very high. Yep.
Yeah, we're getting on the way.
There we go.
Hip drive out of the hole is good. Back and rack position looks tight as ever. So you're still definitely 3 or 4 inches, 2 to 3 inches high, I would say. A similar process to before, but you're much closer now, so you kind of don't need to do a more global or full reset. I would pull your heels in a little bit more. You'll probably have to carry a very severe toe angle for this one. And then understand that it's going to take you a proportionally much longer time to get to depth than for a shorter person. So it may feel like you're doing a tempo squat on the way down, just because you have a lot of miles to cover. But yeah, you're close. You're close. Just be more comfortable letting your hips go down a little bit more. It's going to feel like you're almost curled up into a little ball and very compact at the bottom. But, if you want to squat, that's how you got to squat.
Yeah, that's about 5 inches lower than is the last squat that he sent us. So I bet he didn't want to hear you need to go deeper than that.
Yeah. Hey, mate, you could just be a box squat guy. Just get a West Tide t-shirt and never squat off of the box.
But the box has got to be about 3 inches too high anyways.
Yeah, and then just be like, yeah, that's just who you are. That's fine.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. You got any feedback on that one, Rusty?
I honestly haven't even looked at it.
Oh, okay. We're looking at... You still getting it?
Yeah, let's go to on.
Just imagine a guy with legs as tall as you are and a torso about as short as mine, and then combine those together.
Squatting in front of a large picture of... what's the actor's name?
Ben Stiller.
Ben Stiller wrestling a bull from Dodgeball, the movie. All right. There you go. Adam, we're looking at Cole Mueth squat now.
Cole
Mueth squat.
I got him. Okay.
Yep.
Let's take a look. Hang on. Let me shut this door real quick. All right.
It's a very vibrant gym. It's very colorful.
Yeah.
It's a bit distracting, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. First thing I'm noticing is he's not getting his knees out hard enough. He's got a good toe angle, but his knees are tracking forward. He's not pushing them out enough. Let's see.
Ooh, second angle. That's cool.
There's another angle.
This is a high quality video here.
Yeah, he's got a rear angle as well.
Mm-hmm. The Instagram angle.
I didn't want to mention it.
Yeah, I think the stance is a little bit wide. I think the thighs are tracking where they need to be.
Yeah.
But if you go back to the first angle, you're leading very chesty on this one, and I actually think it's a little bit high. I think an extra inch of depth could do you well. Think about shoving this part, the top of your chest, down towards the top of your knees. Kind of solidify the lean, and then try and figure out just with body weight how hip drive feels. It's hard to conceptualize with a bar on your back if you've never done it. But whenever you're at the bottom of the bodyweight squat, hands together, elbows inside of your knees, just drive your butt up and keep your elbows inside of your knees, and you'll kind of feel like you've tilted forward. And then try and replicate that sensation, just with the empty bar. And then if you can kind of piece those things together and make it click, everything will move a little bit faster. This seemed like a warm-up weight for you anyways, so,
Yeah, I agree. I think the depth thing would probably fix it when he does bring his feet in a little bit. That tends to help people hit depth a little easier. They're not having to fight their hips over it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very good point.
All right. Can you guys hear me now?
Yeah, man. Yep.
Yes.
Okay. Excellent. Cool.
Conrad S Deadlift is next up.
Right.
Oh, you had this guy as well before.
Oh, hey, he was power cleaning on some jacks.
Yeah, he was. This is the dude this is the dude that was about 135 pounds, was he? I remember he was a really lightweight, but he was loading some decent weights last time.
Mm-hmm.
Am I starting this one?
Yeah, go for it, Rusty.
Okay, cool. Let's see. First off, he's not really setting his lower back as hard as he needs to. You can tell, like, as soon as he pushes against the ground, his low back starts to flex. He really needs to spend a little more time getting his hips high and back. He could probably bring his grip in a little bit. That might help as well. But he's definitely letting his back go. And right before he pulls, he's rocking back completely and then pushing his legs. His back's going up, and he's just not tight enough, basically. He needs to think about keeping his hips high, chest high, and shoving his belly between his legs. He's definitely getting too far back with his balance. If you look, his toes are starting to come up, especially on that last rep. So he needs to stay a little bit over the bar and push his feet straight down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would check to make sure that you are actually able to independently set your lower back. Mm-hmm. Just standing up, turn around, or just place a hand on your lower back and try and, rotate your pelvis anteriorly, or just kind of like pop your butt up and out. See if you can do that. See if you can produce movement there. I'll say this a lot with people who kind of like replicate somewhat of what a deadlift looks like. They'll be able to squeeze their chest up, and they'll confuse rocking backwards as setting their lower back. What you are trying to do is to freeze your hips in space and then straighten your spine around it. Make your spine as long as you can rather than bunching it up by rocking back into it. This is pretty light. I think I would like to see this heavier. I think you're just getting distracted. That's really it. Spend almost all of your mental energy on setting your lower back rather than focusing on your chest, and you'll probably be able to pull a lot more than this. So it didn't really stall on the ground at all. So.
No. Mm-hmm. One thing that he also might want to invest in is getting some good lifters. The rounded soles on tennis shoes are made for running. They're not really made for lifting. So that would also probably help you keep your balance a little bit better in an elevated heel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it definitely would. Good points.
How much elevated heel do you need on a deadlift?
It varies. Some people like to deadlift in those goofy socks. Personally, I like to have my arches supported, so I prefer shoes. And that's going to be personal preference as far as elevation. I think my lifters are an inch high, and I like those a lot. You can get pretty drastic. You can get an inch and a half too, a little bit more than that. But that's going to be personal preference. You just have to figure that out.
Yeah, I've made different recommendations dependingly. I mean, for a lot of people, if you're just a guy who's just rocking on to either side of his foot, you kind of have like pigeon-toed or anything like that. Your ankle's kind of rolling in. The heel height doesn't really matter. You just kind of need a wide, stable surface. If you were just kind of like a creaky person who has very little kind of mobility around the ankle, getting a higher heel can definitely make your life a lot easier for that. So it kind of depends. Just figure out the reasons that you actually need one. Kind of like a young, spry person who can get down there totally fine. You may not need like a rogue or like a high do-in or like a position style heel where it's like it's wood, 1.25 inches, 1.5 inches, something like that. But if you're someone who has like, let's say even like really long legs, really short torso, you need to keep more vertical back, or you're trying to figure out how to because you just can't get to depth. A high heel may be helpful for you. So I don't know. Get some pencil and paper out and do some math. See what will help you. No, you're still on there, Rusty.
Yep.
Okay, cool. All right.
You're hey Alex, you're slightly off screen. You might want to just move your chair a bit to your left. I think. Is it your left or right? Yeah, that way. Yeah, that's it. There you go. Beautiful. Yep.
Okay.
All right.
Perfect.
David Bruce. I don't know what this is. I didn't put a tag on it. It's going to be a surprise.
Okay, y'all are back now. I got you.
Oh, okay. We drop out, did we?
Yeah.
I'm guessing this is going to be a squat.
I think it is. I hope so. There we go. We got a squat.
Is, yeah.
Are we on the next one?
Yeah, David Bruce.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I'll start on this one while you catch up.
Excellent. Yeah.
I'm very interested to see how much weight is on the bar here, because this looks like it's a relatively, high level of effort for you. Your stance is a little bit too wide to start, and you are probably about like 1.5 inches, 2 inches high of depth. So you may get a white light from the front, definitely won't get lights from the side or from the rear. What you're going to want to do is you can probably keep your toes close to where they are now, pull your heels in to kind of make that toe angle a little bit more severe, and then just figure out where depth is without the bar and then try to mimic it, So it's just like, we can tell you know how to keep your back in extension. We can tell you can shove your knees out. We can tell you can kind of hip drive out of the hole. You just need to, again, figure out exactly where you need to go. One thing that'll be very helpful for you is to stop craning your head up. So pick a spot on the ground 4 or 5 feet in front of you and just aim your entire face at it, not just your eyes, because you're probably pulling your head up again, your entire face at the point. That'll help you lean over a little bit more. That'll help you, sitting your hips down a little more comfortably. And I think the bar is too low in your back, but that's a lot of speculation from this angle. So
I agree with the bar probably being too low on his back, because in one of the reps he actually has to push the bar back up a little bit. So he needs to raise that bar. And especially whenever he bends all the way over in the bottom of the squat, you can actually see his rear deltoid that's in front of the bar. So yeah, he needs to get that bar a little higher. That might fix a lot of his problems that he's got.
Yeah.
But yeah, for the most part, those don't look too bad. But I think everything that you said would definitely fix it quite a bit. Yeah.
You think his stance is a bit wide?
His stance is wide.
Yeah.
His stance is wide. And definitely looking down at the floor would help get his neck in a little bit better alignment. Yeah.
Alrighty. Good job, David. We've got Elle, who said she's still getting everything set up, so she's squatting with PVC pipe at the moment.
Oh, cool.
She seemed very keen to get started. That's why she was. She sent. What else did she say? And barefoot because she's waiting for her lifters to come in as well. So.
You know what? I appreciate her effort quite a bit.
Yeah.
So one thing, even though it's just a PVC pipe, I say this to all my lifters when they're warming up: treat the empty bar like it's a heavy bar. So get your breathing the same, tighten up the same. She's not really squeezing her abs and her low back. In the very bottom of the squat, her hips are kind of tilting forward. She's squatting a little too deep. Definitely cut those off a little bit. Keep reaching back with your hips. Again, it's going to be really hard to do with a PVC pipe. It's good that you're practicing. But when you do start getting some weight on there, all of those cues might become a little more natural for you.
And if you've never kind of controlled your breathing before, so if you've never lifted, you may be moving to a new house and have lifted before, unsure. But the bracing that he's talking about is you're going to take a big breath and you're going to hold it kind of in your lungs, not in your mouth. So don't kind of inflate your cheeks like a chipmunk. You're just going to take a big breath into your lungs, into your chest, and then clamp down on it like somebody's going to punch you in the stomach. And you need to hold that the entire time the bar is moving. So the rule of thumb is if the bar is moving, you're not breathing. That way everything can stay a little bit tight, and that may resolve the depth issue on its own, just being a little bit tighter. So
one more thing about the breath, because I train a lot of kids and teaching them Valsalva maneuver. It's hard for them to compute, like you're not holding that breath in your mouth. Take a big breath, keep your mouth open, and then hold your breath. Then you will feel it down here and not up into your mouth.
That's the ancient Chinese clean pull secret right there. You got to scream a little bit, modulate your pressure. No.
Man, if I lifted with my mouth open, I'd be just drool all over the floor.
It's funny because at the meet that we had on Saturday, there was a lifter, real strong guy. He did that. I'm the head judge. And I'm looking right at him, and he looks at me and he goes, the entire time he's lifting. This was so weird. I've never seen anybody actually do that before, but he did it.
That's funny. Yeah, you got to be careful. I've spit a lot of gum out in commercial gyms. Accidentally open. If I let a little bit of air out, it'll just fly across the room.
Oh man, so. I don't let my kids lift with gum in their mouth because I'm afraid they're going to take a breath and then I'm going to have a choking happen going on.
I'm surprised RIP allows gum in the gym at all. I thought that would have been
right.
That's a 3-month ban or something. There was one point when I was deadlifting at a gym and there was a girl who was just warming up right in front of the deadlift platform, like literally probably a meter or a few feet in front of me while I was deadlifting. And I said to her, look, you're going to have to move because once I start lifting this thing, I can't promise I'm not going to spit all over you. She was like shocked, moving out of the way. I was like, I'm glad to warn you.
They get one warning. One warning, that's it.
Yeah. So we got a question in the comments. How do we submit a form check? Sorry for the ignorant question. It's all right. It's not an ignorant question. You can just email me. We'll leave an email address in the comments, but you can just email me at hello@shabu.co and just send a link to your video, and we'll get it on next week. Next one we have Guy Loaf Holes. I don't know. Anyway, Guy is doing a squat.
You want to start this one, Alex?
No, I do not, Rusty. How dare you ask me that question?
All right, I'll take it then. First thing, man, you got to slow down. You're kind of dive bombing to the bottom. Whenever I see barred speed that fast, it tends to tell me that you're not tight as you're coming down. Also, your knees are way forward. You're way toe heavy. You again, that Valsalva maneuver we were talking about. Take that big breath, squeeze, get set before every single rep. Push your hips back. You've got to bend over more. You're trying not to bend over. You're basically trying to do a high bar squat with a low bar, but you can't keep your chest up. Your low back is rounding out because you're not squeezing and getting tight. Your knees are punching forward very hard, so you got to get your knees back and your butt back.
Mm-hmm.
I would drop the weight just a little bit until you can master flattening your back. You've got to have a flat back.
Next thing, and you can see it on the walkout when he picks his feet up. Your shoes, from shoe to shoe, if I had to guess, there's probably like 3.5 to 4 inches in between them. You're kind of doing like a cyclist squat right now, where they'll do like just heels basically right together, knees forward as far as they can. Those are cool. You can do them. They just take a long time for practice. I wouldn't do them right now for you. So widen your stance up. So basically your heels are right under your shoulders, and then shove your toes out so they're not straight forward, about 30 degrees. And that'll solve a lot of problems for you. So I would say stance first, all the stuff that Rusty said. So
you think you need to drop the weight down or just work on that with the same weight?
I would go down just a little bit so he can learn how to control his back. And then he can start adding the weight back on, because that's not heavy for him. If it was heavy for him, he wouldn't be able to get that weight at all. But I would drop it just so he could learn how to control his back and get his hips back and learn a little bit of hip drive.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Good work, Gus. Next we have Guy Sexty.
He's back.
You missed Guy last week, Rusty.
Oh, nice.
He's got the greatest name of all time, or one of the great names.
Salute.
Oh, that's his actual name.
Yeah, that's his name.
Man.
Yeah, Guy Sexty. Yeah.
Welcome to the future. It's 2020.
Alex?
I think Mick should take this one. No, I'll do my job. Right. Honestly, I would probably not back squat this. If you don't have an area that you can set up for the back squat, you're not going to get too much out of squatting a weight that you can, successfully curl onto your back. Yeah. In terms of utility at that point, I would just do like lunge work with the barbell in a front rack, or even something like a pistol squat. In terms of the form for the squat itself, you have to do a high bar given the nature of your setup, because you don't have a rack. But you also have, relatively long legs and a relatively short torso. So with that, you're going to have to lean over a little bit more than you think is comfortable. But with that high bar position, it's going to feel like it's just inside of your neck. So that's just an unfortunate, consequence of the way you have everything set up. So lean over a little bit more and just be patient on the way down. It's going to feel like it may take you a second or two or longer than it should to get to depth, But if you want to squat, that's what you got to do. You know, a lot of people in situations where they can't really logistically train the squat, training the deadlift as hard as you can, and then treating, you know, your squat as an accessory to that, it's probably a good move. So.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. Is his time would be better spent training the deadlift. And you know, that weight really isn't going to do much for you unless you're doing something like lunges and whatnot. You would do a lot better loading up a deadlift and doing a heavy set of 5 and maybe some back offs.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, he was pulling on a standard bar.
Okay.
Yeah, I think he has access to an actual barbell on there. Yeah. So I would definitely, you know, drive your deadlift as hard as you can, and then, you know, get in some sort of accessory leg work. I don't know if I would pick that variation of, you know, the squat that you're doing as that accessory leg work. So. And
since you're not going to be able to focus on squat, this would also be a good time to maybe learn how to clean efficiently. That would be another good pulling exercise you can do, because you won't be able to deadlift 3 times a week for very long. That's just going to wreck you. So it would be a good light day pull is learning how to clean, and learning how to row, do barbell rows, things like that. Those would be more beneficial for you.
Mm-hmm.
Pistol squats have got to be the worst exercise ever invented, I think. I don't know how anyone does them.
I'm going to be honest. I don't suggest them.
I love them.
I know.
It's a special place in my heart.
I know you do.
You two are like the odd couple of strength training, aren't you?
Yeah, it's like, hey, if you only have 10 pounds of weight, have you ever tried to do like a awkwardly loaded weighted pistol squat? It sucks. It's really hard. Yeah, I got you, Rusty. You're still on here.
Hang on, I lost about 10 seconds. There you go.
All right, back now.
Yeah. Did you ask me a question, Alex?
No, I'll continue to extol.
Criticized you behind your back. Yeah, we got Jake.
Yeah.
Did we do Jake already? No, we got Jake.
Jake, yeah, I think we're on Jake.
Yeah, we're on Jake.
Yeah,
here we go. Oh, nice setup, Jake.
He looks like Mike Toucher.
I don't have anything too bad to say about this. I think his stance could come in just a tad.
Yeah.
Yeah, these are pretty solid in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I like these a lot. Go to Google, look up reactive training systems, Mike Toucher. You look exactly like him. So that's very important that you do that. But you know, no, I think these are very solid squats. So the unrack was very smooth. I really like the way that you did the unrack. So.
You just like the fact he's got the rings there, don't you, Alex? That was what you were eyeing off, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just get distracted by all the fun toys.
You know, it's funny because I'm rehabbing someone with that just has shoulder surgery, and we're using rings to do passive range of motion. And Rip will yell at me if I leave those rings up. He will yell. He'll be like, "Why the fuck are those rings up?"
Is somebody going to start pumping out some muscle ups in Wichita?
That's what he's afraid is going to happen. He's afraid someone's going to start messing with them and tear their shoulders up.
Right. A vandal is going to come in, and a rioter is going to come in and start, you know, doing muscle ups and iron crosses in the gym.
All right. Good work. I've got another question. Opinion on double overhand versus supine grip on the barbell row.
Supine grip. I used to do a whole lot of barbell rows, and I used to do supine grip. But the problem is, supine grip, when you get really heavy, can start aggravating your biceps. At that point, then I would switch over to overhand and maybe switch them up every now and then. But at some point, it's going to start aggravating your bicep, especially for older clients. That bicep tendonitis can flare up pretty fast if you're not careful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you guys just did a good video on it. I think it's revisiting the barbell row. Yep. Starting strength, revisiting the barbell row, just in case. Whenever I'm starting the row, or for somebody, I like to start them with supine. It helps them feel a little bit more in control of it, because they're probably at that point, or at least when I'm working them, have been doing chin-ups or some sort of lat pull down immediately. So they kind of feel more in control with an underhand grip. You can feel like you can pull something this way, unless they've been doing, for some reason, fanatical reverse curls. They're not really, feeling this motion a lot. Yep. So overhand can kind of feel weird to start, And I think another small benefit is if you are learning the power clean with the overhand grip and also the row at the same time, separating them distinctly in your brain with overhand versus underhand is very helpful. Because if you're doing overhand and you're just trying to
start
row and pull things,
Yep.
exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
So to start, underhand works really well, and also it'll be lighter than not. Eventually, it'll get heavy. You can kind of know how to use your back a little bit more, and then go overhand. So.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Consensus reached.
Mick, what's your vote? Do you have the dissenting vote?
I don't have experience doing barbell rows, to be honest. So I really couldn't say.
Curls only.
Yeah. Lots of chin ups and curls. That's Alex's plan for me at the moment. All right, we've got
5
John.
days a week.
What's that? Yeah, if you
7
could.
days a week. Chin-ups and curls.
John Grover, squat. He's lifting in Crocs, isn't he? Or something that resemble Crocs.
Those are Crocs.
Those are Crocs,
Respect, man.
They're fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
I've never seen that before.
They're good to deadlift in, unironically. Not kidding.
Wouldn't your feet move around?
Sorry,
less than you think.
Really? Okay.
Well, maybe in deadlift, but squatting I would not squat in Crocs. You can get away with a lot of things in doing deadlift, but squats I would prefer to have a little bit more stable.
In my professional opinion, if you put the Crocs into sport mode and you put the strap around the heel, then you're fine. You can do everything you want in them.
Oh man, adventure Crocs.
Exactly. Yeah. If you have the sports strap on it, then you're fine.
All right. As far as this guy's squat goes, you're getting way toe heavy because you're letting your knees travel the entire time. You're bending over while your knees are going forward, which means your butt's not getting back. So all that weight's going forward. You're getting really heavy on your toes. That's why that rep is getting really hard, because all that moment is going onto your knees and you're not using any of your hips. So you need to stop your knees around where your toes are and then just continue sitting back. Get that big breath. Sit your butt back as hard as you can. Reach for the wall in the bottom and then turn it around. You're squatting high, and a lot of that has to do with the fact that you're getting really fatigued because you're so toe heavy on your reps.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think widening up the stance is definitely procedurally widen your stance up. So just like one or two guys ago, we said it, but try and line your heels up directly below your shoulders. So basically, right at the end of your collarbones, try and line your heels up directly below that. That will be moving your stance out probably about like 3.5 to 4 inches in total. Mm-hmm. Things will probably line up fairly naturally for you. The next thing is don't punch your head down to the floor to reach depth. Depth happens with your hips. Your head's just connected to your shoulders. Don't worry so much about your head. So keep pulling your head back and then widen up your stance. And keep lifting in Crocs is a statement against the man.
I disagree. Get some fucking. Am I to cuss?
Hey?
I hang around Rip too.
Get some $450 starting strength boots. Is that your recommendation for?
Let's not talk about those right now.
All right, good work, John. Luke Stanfield deadlift. Oh, he's got some legit deadlifting shoes now. The old $25 Chucks. Rusty's shaking his head. Where do they fall in comparison to Crocs?
I would say fashion-wise, downgrade, function-wise, upgrade. Okay. But they're still not good.
Yeah, Rusty, you can take this one. That's all you. That's all
right, cool. Let's see. First off, I have been deadlifting the starting strength method for about, 7-8 years now. And since I learned how to deadlift, I have done the exact same setup on every single deadlift I've ever pulled. And that's the 5 steps that we teach. We've got that good video on it. That will teach you the 5 steps. But first off, don't roll the bar to you. Just get your feet under the bar. Step 2, reach down, grab the bar, shins to bar, set your low back. You're jerking on that bar really, really hard. And, that's why your back is immediately giving out. You need to take your time getting uncomfortable down in the bottom. Get nice and tight. Quit jerking on that bar. The heavier that it gets, the more that jerk's going to mess you up. So I would just get used to the idea that getting set up with the deadlifts going to be really uncomfortable. Your lockout is getting pretty weak towards your later reps. You need to think about the bottom of your sternum, pushing that up a little bit at the top of the deadlift. Get nice and big. But yeah, you really need to slow down your setups between every single rep.
Yeah. So the lockout is the issue. I don't think any of these reps have been locked out. And for a lot of people, if you don't ever set your lower back, it's going to be a hell of a time to lock the rep out. You'll see it with a lot of sumo pullers, actually. They'll round really severely to get it off the ground. They won't be able to get that last inch because they just can essentially just have to rotate it every single vertebra to get it finished.
Yeah.
You're kind of doing something similar here. Take some time, play around with 135, and then figure out how to make your spine as long as possible. Figure out how to rotate your pelvis and then not just immediately bend over at your spine. These are pretty heavy, so you won't have to spend a lot of time reconfiguring how to deadlift before you get back up to this weight. Figure out how to set your lower back, because we know you can set your upper back, but figuring out how to set your lower back is going to have the highest utility for you. And do some curls, I would say, as well.
Yeah. Should we just preface every single form check with that, Alex?
Ideally.
So John from the previous video with the Crocs actually left a comment and said that he's actually bought some do-wins for his next workout. So there you go. You lost another one, Alex.
Good for him. Those are the go-to shoe that I recommend doing.
Yep.
I've actually set my lifetime deadlift PR in shower shoes, not Crocs, ghetto Crocs, but still though, it was a good day.
Yeah.
What a ghetto Crocs.
I don't have much of a comment on that.
They're just like the normal shower shoes, just the slides.
Yeah.
Just the ones you just pop your foot in. Yeah.
You wear shoes in the shower? Hang on a sec. I'm getting confused now.
So when I worked in the jail, that's what we gave everybody. We call it their slides, and because you don't want to be walking in those showers barefoot. That's disgusting.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Like if you use like the gym shower, like wear shower shoes.
Yeah.
Okay. That makes more sense. Okay, we have Martin. He's actually my dad, who started lifting he's 73, started lifting probably a couple of months ago.
Excellent.
And but he's really struggling to get him into the low bar position. He's just, he just says there's a lot of pain. So he's doing sort of a high bar squat here.
Yeah, that's honestly going to be my suggestion. Just keep him high bar if he can't physically get that position, because he's just going to tear his shoulders up trying to get there. Starting that in that later age, it's going to be a real battle to get him in a low bar position, and he just might have some bones that just don't want to go there. So high bar might have to just be the option. I have one client, they can't get into a low bar position because their shoulder is just getting too much of a bind. So we just keep them high bar. You can still do hip drive with high bar. You're just not going to bend over as much. Just keep them on high bar.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I completely agree. With when you're starting training at this sort of age, it's the most important thing is just keeping it fun, making sure it's a voluntary thing to do, and kind of accumulating that series of wins. So if you have someone like this come in and you're just trying just hammer them in a low bar position when it's not going to happen no matter what you do, they're just going to be like, wow, every time I leave my shoulders feel like crap, and then I don't want to go back and squat again. So make sure that it's just like, get the bar on your back somehow, and then just go from there. So getting the reps in are important. I would widen his stance out just a little bit, I think. Maybe 2 inches or so, I would say.
I would also, he might be a good candidate for box squats right now. Being new to this, that would help him learn how to get trust that his hips can go back without him falling over a little bit more and hitting depth. And you can take it nice and easy. Sets of 5 might be out of the range for him. He might just have to use sets of 3. That's good that he started training. I think it's really going to benefit him in the long run. But just keep him pain free as much as possible. So keep that bar high, take your time with him.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, good stuff. All right, thanks, fellas. We've got Matt Squat next. Oh, we've had Matt on before as well.
I don't recognize this one. I could be going crazy, though.
I think I recognize that roof, the unfinished painting on the roof.
You want me to take it, Alex, or you want to take it?
Yeah, you go for it.
Okay, cool. And this has been a common theme. Like, nobody can get their stance right. It's either too wide or too narrow. He's way too wide. You need to get your heels underneath your shoulders, man. That will help you hit that depth a little bit easier, because all of these are really, really high. You need to also slow down a little bit. Rushing through reps is a good way to completely get rid of all form. Get uncomfortable at top, get that big breath, squeeze your back tight. And you can tell on some of these reps, you're so far forward that you're at your heels come up. That means your knees are going too far forward. You're not getting your butt back enough. So you need to slow down a little bit. This weight is obviously light for you, or you wouldn't be able to pump them out that fast. If you straighten out your back, sit your hips back a little bit more, it will be so much easier for you to get this weight. But bringing that stance in is probably going to fix a lot of your problems.
Yeah. Bring the stance in. The next thing that's going to happen is that maybe a combination of the belt. With that belt, I'd probably just take it off anyways. If when you're getting to an actual correct depth, you're going to notice a distinct sensation of your stomach shoving into your thighs. Right now, the depth that you have self-organized into is whenever your stomach, your belly, is running into your legs, and you're like, that's my cue to go back up. So you have to mentally tell yourself, that doesn't matter. I'm going to compress all of that. It's not very firm anyways. I'm just going to sink down to depth and then come back up into it. I mean, it may feel uncomfortable at first, but it's going to have to be something that you'll mentally have to tell yourself, where I've been going to is not depth. I'm going to feel different. The movement's going to feel entirely different when you're down there. But you got to get down maybe like another 4 or 5 inches on most of these reps. So change your stance. Be okay with your stomach running into your thighs. Trust it. Sink all the way down. So I don't think strength or mobility or anything like that is going to be an issue here for you. So
no. And if the belly is becoming an issue, pointing your toes out a little bit more and pushing your knees out a little bit harder might help you get down there a little bit easier. But big guys with big bellies, the bottom of the squat and the bottom of the deadlift are always going to be a bit of a battle until you can get comfortable with being uncomfortable down there.
Okay. A couple of comments. Melanie Sightnick said, "Way to go, Martin." Hey, Melanie. She's sent in a few videos to us. John Grover again, the guy in the Crocs, said he was inspired by Austin Baraki. Are we allowed to say his name on this thing? I don't know. He deadlifts.
I don't have a comment.
He deadlifts. He said he deadlifts 500 in ghetto Crocs. So there you go.
There you go.
I'll say this much about Austin. He's a strong man. He's very strong.
Yeah. Okay. Next up, we have Pelle O Squat. I think we saw him last week as well. Oh yeah, we did. He was pressing last week.
This one's you, Alex.
All right. I'm still on the unrack, so we'll.
It's a good 16 seconds.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's building up the suspense.
I'm ready. Okay. This looks like 225, I think, or that could be a 35-pound plate. I'm not sure with the bumper. So you're going to have to take a significant amount of weight off the bar. Just start this and just reset at body weight, figure out where depth is, and then you're going to figure out how to lead with your hips out of the bottom and be comfortable leaning over. I think that I would say that your rack position may be a little bit high, and I think that speculation is coming from the fact that you aren't comfortable leaning over because of how pulled up this is. So if you're having to bend your wrists and crank your elbows up, there's no way you're going to be comfortable leaning over to get to the proper back angle for the squat. So check out that Bill Hannon article identifying or correcting thoracic extension of the squat, something like that. Just look up extension of the squat, you'll find it. Figure that out. But the next thing, I would widen up your stance, maybe about an inch or two, point your toes out, figure out where depth is, go through the body weight progression. It's all over the Starting Strength website. It's in the book, very, very thoroughly explained. Figure out where depth is, and then just kind of connect the pieces between how do you need to fix your rack position and where depth is, and it should come pretty naturally to you. You can keep your back in extension and you can move weight around. So just got to connect those two pieces. So.
Yeah, I think you hit all that on the head. I have one client in particular. He's got a major shoulder mobility issues, and we've been lifting for about 3 months now, and he's starting to now loosen up. But we had to pretty much put him on a pretty good stretching regimen because just squatting 3 times a week wasn't stretching him out enough. So he's having to do some stuff at his house. getting his shoulders a little bit more looser. And as we get to his work sets, it's very noticeable that he's loosening up and can get into better position. So you might want to look into that, because it seems like your wrists are here and you just can't get your elbows down and your wrists straight. So you might want to focus on a morning and night routine of just gently stretching your shoulders out a little bit. That might help you get in that better position.
One thing that I've noticed that has been a fairly good solution has been, and it doesn't work forever because the intensities don't really work, but placing the squat at the end of your workout. So let's say if you're pressing that day, do your pressing, your deadlifts, your chin-ups, fuck around with chest flies or whatever, and then go and do your deadlifts. Okay.
Yeah.
Or go and do your squats, excuse me. Because by the time if you're doing everything correctly and you've done your pressing, your deadlifting, and your chin-ups, your shoulders from the shrug, from the pulling, should be significantly looser than whenever you start. So for a lot of people with cranky shoulders, if you just go in there, squat immediately, it may not work out for you. So
that's a good suggestion.
Yeah, like place those at the end of the workout.
Yeah, I like that.
All right. Good work, Pelle. Keep the videos coming in. Scott Gammett. I've had Scott on a few times as well.
He's a big boy.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, yeah. Okay. I remember this one.
All right. I'll go ahead and start this one. It's, again, a common thing. This is super lightweight for you. So you're able to just straight up muscle it up without really having to get tight on anything. The deadlift needs to be a heavy exercise, which means you got to get nice and tight before you pull on it.
Let me pause, Rusty.
Yeah, good.
So I think this is a reset, because last time, I think that was the one that you weren't here. He sent a really heavy one, and we were like, hey, reset for a minute.
Okay. Yeah. That makes sense then.
So I think you were just saying all of the things that I was going to say. But yeah, these are definitely a lot better than last week. So last week he was kind of doing like the classic strongman, lean in behind it and then rocket everything up right before the bar breaks the ground.
Yeah.
The way that I think I would try and ingrain this for you is do not pull the bar off the floor. Do not initiate liftoff unless you are feeling a painful stretch in your hamstrings. Mm-hmm. Okay, so you're starting to pick your hips up and then pulling them back down, during liftoff. Think about like a good morning. Think an RDL, Romanian deadlift. Get yourself in a position. Figure out how to make that happen so that you are feeling a nice and tight hamstring stretch right under your butt. If you are doing that, your hips are likely in the correct position. Then do your pull. On some of these reps are solid, but they're still, touch and go. Setting your back was a lot better than last time. But just make sure that they are you're not just sitting your hips there, you are actively pushing them up and then starting your pull. So
it's the same. I know I sound like a broken record when I say this, but the bottom of the deadlift should be incredibly uncomfortable. It should be something that you're like, man, I just want this to be over with, but it's important to get tight and uncomfortable down there. If you're comfortable in the deadlift position, you're not doing it right. And one thing also might help is not think about pulling the bar off the ground, but pushing the floor away. Pretend it's a bar that's well up to the ground and you're grabbing that bar and you're having to just push your feet as hard as you can. That might help that little jerk motion where you're just flying your chest up on everyone. Staying a little bit over that bar at the beginning of the deadlift will help.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, completely agree there. Completely agree.
All right, good work, Scott. Thomas Harris, squat. It's aggressive. Showing the bar who's boss.
All right. All right, Thomas. You're low barring, but you're trying to do a high bar with the low bar. You're keeping your chest up the whole time. Again, you got to get comfortable with squeezing your abs and pointing your chest to the ground. Your knees are very far forward. I can see your heels wanting to come up. So take your big breath, squeeze tight. As soon as your hips or your knees break, your hips should be going back toward the wall and stretching for the wall in the bottom of the squat. That way you can get some hip drive. If you get a little bit of hip drive, that weight's going to move a lot faster because you're using more leverage and more muscle mass in your hips. Other than that, these don't look too bad. You just got to stop your knees from going way far forward and keeping your chest up. So you're going to have to bend over more than you're comfortable with.
I'd be interested to see, I think these are very slightly high. I'd be interested to see from like a slightly higher angle. So if you can kind of move your camera up 2 or 3 feet and move at any sort of angle, that'll give us better information here. You have a long torso to start and shorter femurs, so it's going to feel maybe a little bit more natural or just easier of a position to get into to try and stay as rod straight upright as possible. Don't settle for that. It may be a little bit more comfortable right now, but that's not really the point. You are what some people will call overextending, but essentially you're just extending your spine and creating a massive arch the entire time, and you're just kind of rotating your butt backwards and essentially just keeping your upper back in the same exact configuration. So your butt's going backwards as your thoracic spine is just staying there. Think about tucking your ribs down, so pulling your ribs up, tucking them down, and then like I said earlier, for someone else, aiming this part of your chest, so like the top of your pecs, try and get those down in between your knees. Okay, so not just shoving your belly down to the floor, but aiming the top of your chest, try and get that to touch your knees, and that should definitely help. But otherwise these don't look too heavy for you, so just add some weight, have some fun with it.
One thing you brought up a valid point about him keeping his chest up while he's rotating his hips back. People with very flexible lower backs tend to do this. I have one client, he's one of my kids. His name's Isaac. He is a very flexible kid, and he was doing this. He would do this in his rack pulls and in his squats and his deadlifts, where his chest would be up, and he would have a hard time just keeping his back in a neutral extension. And he started getting really bad sciatica. I mean, so bad that we had to deload a lot of weight, and I had to fix his back to where he's more straight. So lifting like this might flare things up when that does finally get heavy. So I would definitely focus on keeping that back a little straighter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a lot of movement of your spine under load. Yeah. If you can try and just contain all of that movement to your hip, which is much better suited for loaded movement, than rotating your vertebra all around. So, yeah.
All right. Good work, Tom. Oh, we've got a big
my man.
next is great. Tom J at it again.
The one and only.
With a log press.
And this guy's like my hero.
Did you catch last week, because he weren't here last week? Did you see his last week video? We'll actually play it again just because it was so awesome.
Okay. Oh, this guy's such a badass. I'm not being funny. I'm serious. This is badass.
Bam.
Yeah.
Amazing.
I want to imagine he's a man of the woods, but then he's got these, fancy Bluetooth headphones on as well. It's like, well, what are you, Tom? You're this woods monster, or you? Is he like a Silicon Valley billionaire who's got his own compound out in the middle of nowhere?
I think these presses are great. One thing, maybe you lose the hat when you're pressing. Might keep that big block of wood closer to your head and make it a little more efficient. But other than that, these are badass. I watched Commando the other day with Arnold, and it seems like in every single Arnold movie, he has to hold a giant log, and this is what it reminds me of.
The hallmark of manliness right there.
It's so cool. So cool.
Yeah, man, these are great. I
want to go train with him someday.
Yeah.
All right, Tom, there you go. Can you send your details?
Do we know where he's from?
I've got no idea. I don't think he wants to be found, to be honest. He seems like that kind of guy.
He's pine trees.
Tom, send me the coordinates. Just the coordinates, and I will find you.
Let's see if we can find his last week video, just so I can show you. Oh, you won't be able to see it. Yeah, the deadlift machine he built with a piece of PVC piping and a metal frame of a bed. And then he put a few rocks on it and just was deadlifting it up and down. It was pretty awesome.
Mm-hmm.
All right, thanks, Tom. Keep those videos coming, mate. We love them.
Yeah, man, I enjoy them.
Yeah.
Try to rig up some bodybuilding machines if you can. If you can make like some sort of old like wood-based pec deck, something like that. If you can create some sort of leg press, that'll be cool. I'd like to see that.
Curls. We need something to curl with, Alex.
Yeah.
Well, you could probably use the deadlift machine for curls as well.
There you go.
Yeah. All right, Vijay. Had Vijay on a few times now. He's his deadlift.
These are good Romanian deadlifts.
Yeah.
These are very good RDLs. I was just doing these today. All right, Rusty, you got it, buddy.
All right. I don't know if this is a warm-up set or whatnot, but that's way too light for a deadlift, man. You need to start putting some weight on there. Start getting a little bit tighter in between. If the weight is flying up that fast, it's either, like you said, an RDL, or it's that you could clean that weight very easily. So it's not heavy enough to really do anything for you. let's see. One thing, honestly, your start position isn't bad. I would try and get your hips maybe a tad bit higher. Your toes are good, but bring your heels in a little bit. So you've got a little bit of an angle, and that means you can push your knees out to your arms a little bit better. Your start position isn't too bad. But I would definitely load that bar up. I would get some more weight on there. Yeah.
It seems like these are precisely loaded because you have a 5 and a 2.5, and I think a small plate, or those are just odd. I think actually it's just the clips, but you're loading these and attempting to be precise with it, so it's probably not just a warm up. Add 20 pounds a session for probably 3 sessions, and then go down to 10 for probably another 2 to 3, and then 5 from just that point on.
Yeah.
If you have the plates, I don't really see any other plates floating around here except those silver ones. So, let the floor take the weight in between each rep. So you are not supposed to be, just continuing to hold it in your hand and then popping it back up immediately. Let the floor take the weight, take another bracing breath, and then pull it. So, but yeah, just add some weight and then, kind of figure out what's going on after that.
Yeah, be deliberate between every single rep. Again, if you're comfortable at any point in the deadlift, you're not doing it right.
All right, VJ. So Tom J said he's in New York, Rusty. So
New York.
There we go.
We said New York City, then he said New York. I think he made a typo.
He's upstate New York.
Yeah,
that's why he's training in the woods. He's avoiding all the madness going on up there.
Yeah.
Good for him.
He's preparing for it. He's preparing for the madness, Rusty.
Well, I went to New York back in March. If I head back up in that direction, I am hitting Tom up. I want to work out with that man.
All right,
there you go.
There you go. William Thompson, our last form check for the day. This is not.
What's on the bar? Oh, those are gloves. That's his hands with gloves. Okay, he's wearing black latex gloves. Okay.
COVID. I get it.
Right. It's the future, buddy.
I'll keep my opinion about it to myself.
Okay. But man, all right. So these are, I would say, like high bar football squats, high school football squats, for lack of a better term. It's a lot. Just go watch the squat video. Move the bar about like 1.5 inches lower. Get your thumbs over the bar, so your thumb and your fingers are all on the same side. So not around, but over. Aim your face down. Aim your chest down. There's just kind of a lot going on. Ask your parents to go take you to an SSC. Be like, Mom, and then if you do that enough, she'll take you.
If you fix that hand position, you're also gonna have to fix those elbows. At the bottom of the squat, your elbows are dropping down like almost to where they're touching your thighs. That your back won't be able to hold that bar whenever you're doing that in the proper low bar position. So you're gonna have to get everything a lot tighter. But I agree. Just watch the video and go to a seminar or something. Maybe find a coach if you're anywhere where an SSC is available. Even one session will go a long ways.
Yeah.
What do you think on the nutrition front for this fella?
Oh, yeah, go mad.
Go mad.
Yeah, so do the SSLP on all of your off days. Pec deck curls. Every single one.
As he brings his hands in, should he be chugging milk?
You're being serious, Alex.
It's a dangerous line to play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
He definitely needs to put some weight on. But the thing is, he needs to fix his squat form before he starts worrying about what his diet's looking like right now. Because if he fixes that form, he'll be able to add a lot more weight to that bar, and then he can worry about adding calories to his diet.
Yeah, and I would say in terms of like optimization, like we can tell you can keep your back in extensions. So like let's say you're like, oh man, I can't go see an SSC for another 2.5 months, something like that. Just focus on your deadlift. Just figure out ways that you can spend all of your training resources on areas that you're competent at if you're kind of glaringly incompetent in one thing. So it's just like if you just can't, if squatting is going to be a hassle for you and you can't get to a coach relatively immediately, spend more time on the other things. It's no reason to stop training. It's no reason to stop going to the gym. So
and treat the squats like an accessory lift. If you do start focusing on a deadlift, don't stop squatting, but start fixing things. Fix one thing at a time. Record yourself. That hand position. Watch our videos. and fix one thing at a time, and eventually your squat will probably be a little more competent. But I still think that you need some in-person coaching. You need some hands on you to put you in the positions you need to be in.
Yeah. Reading the book would go a hell of a long way. So.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and if you're looking for a coach, just try the is there a Starting Strength online coaching directory, I think, on the website?
Yeah, it's on the website.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Cool. All right. Well, that's the final video. Anything else you guys wanted to chat about? Any other controversial topics?
I'm mainly serious, Rusty.
Mainly. I figured you were.
Mainly serious. Yeah. I try to push everyone into a career of bodybuilding as soon as humanly possible.
Chest, pecs, and buys. That's all you need. That's all you need, right?
That's it, man. That's it. Yeah. No, but like chin-ups, I would say in terms of like modifications to the LP, what do you ever do, if anything, Rusty?
Chins are definitely something that I start putting in pretty quick as soon as I can. Those are probably going to be the first accessory thing I start putting in. Whenever I start putting light days in there, chins definitely go in there. If they can't do chins, do lat pull downs until we can build up to a chin up.
When are you adding in another benching variation? When do you typically do that?
What's that?
What? You're never getting some push-ups or some dumbbell benching? No. Okay.
No, unless there's something that specifically requires it. No. Normally I just stick with the barbell lifts. Very rarely. I don't have anybody that's super advanced as far as clients go, so I don't think it's necessary right now. Okay. But if I had a Chase Lindley or somebody like that, yeah, we would have to start mixing some things up, definitely. But that's for more advanced lifters, and so I think people want to go to those different accessory lifts way too early, way too early. That's my opinion on that.
Mm-hmm.
But rows and chins are probably the first two accessory things that I add. Rack pulls also go in very early.
Okay. I think I just saw a good picture of you rack pulling on the website.
Oh yeah, thanks.
Yeah, that was nice.
My Instagram photo now is the zoom in of my face because I look like I don't have a neck. It all just out. It's
there. You go. Yeah,
that's the goal, isn't it? It's just head to shoulders.
Yeah.
Cool. Tell us about Chase's 350-pound press. We were going to talk about it last week, but you
yeah.
Did you see it live, or were you?
No. I just saw a video of it. And of course, it was impressive. Actually, at the meet that we had, there's a guy. His name is Clint Case, and he's a big, strong man. I thought he was going to get it. He was go in for the 350 press. I think he got 320. Or 330, one of the two, for his second attempt, and it flew up. And I was like, it's going to happen. I think he just got a little bit forward with it, and it just stopped about right here. If he would have kept it close, that would have been the first time in one of our meets somebody hit a 350 press.
That's awesome.
He did all of his lifts. He deadlifted over 700, and I can't remember what his squat was, but obviously it was ridiculously high. And he did everything without a belt, which was very impressive to me.
In Crocs as well?
No, he's not in Crocs.
Unfortunately, they're not, either. I'm presumably not Starting Strength meet approved or USAPL approved. So
I highly doubt it.
We are discriminated against class, I would say.
But it was a good meet though. It was a real fun meet. I saw a lot of people hit some good lifts for themselves, and that press was. It had me pretty pumped, but I was really disappointed he got it or didn't get it.
Yep. All right. Well, thanks, fellas, and thanks everyone for watching. And if you got any more videos, feel free to keep sending them through. And check out Alex is your online coaching website, Alex, acostrength.com. And Rusty,
website will be in the description.
Yep.
So definitely check me out.
Rusty's Instagram, which no one can ever remember the name of.
I actually wrote it down so I could say it's Rust_strength_training. So,
and if you're trying to launch your amateur bodybuilding career, Rusty, he's the man to go to.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
I think Rusty.
Everybody needs to go to my Instagram and like my lifters Wyatt and Colt. I have videos of their squats and their deadlifts, and I'm really proud of those kids. I think people need to see them lift and how much effort they put into it.
Why don't you get the videos and we'll put them on next week?
That would be a great idea. I would really like that.
If they're up for it, yeah.
Cool. Yeah, definitely. Cool.
All right. Thanks a lot, everyone. Catch you guys later.
See you guys.
Yes.
Bye.